I declare an unbroken surge of divine shielding rising around you now, surrounding your atmosphere with the strength that flows from the throne and securing every pathway your feet will touch today. May the force of God's guardianship anchor your spirit in confidence as every unseen threat bows under the weight of heaven's authority. Place your right hand over your chest for a brief moment as a prophetic witness to this covering. I decree that a mantle of supernatural defense clothes your mind, blocking intrusive currents engineered to weaken your peace before the day begins. May every shadow attempting to settle in your thoughts evaporate under the radiance of God's nearness. I dismantle networks of fear constructed to tamper with your focus. I call forth the rising of holy fire encircling your life, forming an impenetrable perimeter that denies access to every force assigned to pierce your confidence. May this flame distinguish your steps with the certainty that God Himself escorts your movement. I scatter ambushes designed to intimidate your spirit. I decree that the breath of the Almighty saturates your atmosphere with stability, neutralizing turbulence that seeks to grow during early hours. May your heart sense the quiet assurance that nothing formed against you carries the ability to prosper. I subdue internal anxieties attempting to steal your strength. I call forth the emergence of angelic presence surrounding your morning like silent warriors, commissioned to fortify every territory connected to your assignment. May invisible escorts walk beside you with unwavering vigilance. I disrupt dark projections attempting to script your day. I decree that your spirit rises into alignment with the canopy of protection established for your journey, granting you awareness of divine nearness in every environment you enter. May the atmosphere shift in your favor the moment you appear. I dismantle spiritual snares positioned to lure you into harm. I call forth the illumination of divine wisdom, guiding your decisions, shielding you from traps concealed in familiar places. May your steps be governed by clarity that exposes danger before it forms. I nullify confusion engineered to blur your discernment. I decree a mighty reinforcement, strengthening your inner posture, ensuring that no emotional instability compromises your capacity to engage the day with boldness. May the weight of God's hand settle upon your heart with comforting authority. I dismantle emotional turbulence sent to distort your perception. I call forth the displacement of every dark influence attempting to cloud your surroundings, commanding them to flee as the presence of God invades your atmosphere. May your environment become a sanctuary saturated with holy calm. I scatter vibrations of agitation structured to sabotage your morning. I decree the rise of courage that refuses to succumb to unseen intimidation, granting you confidence to move through your day under the shadow of divine preservation. May your thoughts become anchored in the reality of God's guardianship. I silence internal accusations attempting to weaken your stance. I call forth supernatural clarity that discerns subtle shifts in the spirit, ensuring that no disguised threat escapes your awareness. May wisdom accompany your intuition with precision. I dismantle deceptive impressions engineered to mislead your choices. I decree that your emotions come under the government of God's peace, absorbing His calm until every ripple of unrest dissolves. May tranquility fill the chambers of your heart with soothing force. I confront agitation planted to disrupt your alignment. I call forth an unshakable calm settling over your household, sealing every entry point against spiritual intrusion. May every corner become saturated with divine presence. I silence disturbances fabricated to unsettle your space. I decree the strengthening of your faith in the covering assigned to your destiny, enabling you to stand unmoved as the Spirit enforces heaven's protection over your life. May assurance rise within you like a fortified tower. I scatter internal narratives crafted to instill fear. I call forth the uncovering of every hidden attack forming in the spirit, commanding early exposure before harm can materialize. May your awareness heighten as divine insight guides your decisions. I overthrow secret strategies engineered to catch you unaware. I decree the surrounding of your journey with a barrier forged by divine power, repelling every arrow launched against your peace. May your morning be marked by the certainty of God's defense. I paralyze threats designed to weaken your momentum. I call forth the emergence of clarity that reveals detours arranged to lead you into unnecessary battles, steering you into safer routes shaped by divine wisdom. May your spirit follow the path appointed for your flourishing. I disrupt redirections crafted by unseen opposition. I decree that divine vigilance surrounds your steps, ensuring that no unseen force gains proximity to your progress. May every movement you make carry the imprint of heaven's guardianship. I dismantle mechanisms designed to monitor your rising. I call forth supernatural alertness, sharpening your perception, empowering you to detect spiritual shifts before they manifest in the natural. May your awareness remain heightened throughout the day. I silence distractions programmed to dull your sensitivity. I decree the establishment of a fortified shield around your decisions, preventing you from stepping into environments contaminated by hidden danger. May clarity guide every transition you undertake. I scatter deceptive pathways disguised as opportunities. I call forth waves of divine strength, settling upon your inner man, enabling you to walk with calm authority, even in spaces saturated with warfare. May confidence replace every whisper of uncertainty. I dismantle currents engineered to intimidate your spirit. I decree that your atmosphere becomes incompatible with your portions of darkness, forcing every hostile presence to retreat the moment you arrive. May your surroundings carry the fragrance of protection. I nullify attempts to anchor fear near your dwelling. I call forth the exposure of every concealed plot formed against your stability, ensuring early detection before damage can occur. May your discernment remain sharp and unwavering. I overthrow conspiracies designed to undermine your peace. I decree that your pathway is overshadowed by divine light, illuminating every corner where danger seeks to hide. May illumination guide your steps with precision. I silence shadows attempting to distort your vision. I call forth divine recalibration over your emotions, granting you equilibrium that cannot be shaken by unexpected events. May your inner climate remain steady and grounded. I rebuke emotional turbulence engineered to derail your posture. I decree that the favor of God creates a buffer around your life, making it impossible for harm to find a foothold near your steps. May your presence repel hostility with divine force. I dismantle networks positioned to challenge your security. I call forth angelic escorts to accompany every movement you make, ensuring that no ambush escapes their watch. May your day unfold under their silent supervision. I terminate the influence of spiritual intruders attempting to infiltrate your progress. I decree that your thoughts become aligned with heaven's peace, preventing internal warfare from corrupting your confidence. May the calm of God's presence govern your mind. I confront intrusive voices aiming to seed anxiety. I call for the cleansing of your atmosphere from every residue of fear carried from previous days, granting you a fresh start wrapped in divine tranquility. May your heart remain anchored in holy assurance. I uproot lingering impressions that weaken your trust. I decree the subduing of every adversarial presence attempting to manipulate the rhythm of your day. May your steps move in harmony with divine timing. I disrupt cycles designed to delay your progress. I call forth supernatural calm flooding your household, establishing a perimeter where no disturbance can enter. May peace rest upon every room with quiet authority. I scatter vibrations of unrest generated to unsettle your family. I decree that the Lord's preservation rests upon your finances, shielding your resources from attacks meant to drain your strength. May provision remain secure under his watch. I nullify predatory spirits targeting your stability. I call forth divine interruptions to every scheme plotted in hidden places, denying access to those seeking to sabotage your rising. May exposure frustrate their intentions. I terminate alignments formed to orchestrate harm. I decree that the canopy of God's protection expands over your relationships, shielding you from alliances capable of introducing destruction. May your connections be purified by divine wisdom. I uproot friendships engineered to open doors to danger. I call forth the strengthening of your spiritual armor, ensuring that no fiery dart penetrates your defenses. May your heart remain covered in every circumstance. I dismantle coordinated attacks aimed at weakening your resolve. I decree that your night seasons become fortified with divine watchfulness, granting you uninterrupted rest, free from spiritual harassment. May your dreams be governed by heavenly peace. I silence nocturnal disturbances attempting to infiltrate your sleep. I call forth stability over your commitments, ensuring that no unexpected blow disrupts the foundation of what God has entrusted to you. May your endeavors remain safeguarded by the hand of the Almighty. I shatter sabotage directed at your assignments. I decree that your channels of communication become guarded by divine insight, protecting you from information that carries the potential to destabilize your heart. May wisdom regulate your intake with precision. I cancel the influence of manipulative messages sent to provoke fear. I call forth a reinforced atmosphere around your transportation, ensuring that every journey you undertake is marked by supernatural safety. May no harm draw near the vessels that carry you. I dismantle ambushes arranged along your routes. I decree that your movements throughout this day remain insulated by the strength of divine guardianship, ensuring that no hidden force intercepts your steps. May every location you enter bow to the authority of God's presence resting upon you. I disable strategic traps positioned to intercept your progress. I call forth divine insulation around your energy, preventing draining influences from weakening your momentum. May your vitality remain untouched by atmospheres that carry spiritual contamination. I rebuke covert assignments designed to exhaust your strength. I decree that heaven's clarity surrounds your decisions with unwavering precision, guiding you away from environments that harbor unseen danger. May your pathways be illuminated by divine intelligence. I scatter fog engineered to confuse your discernment. I call forth unshakable peace, anchoring your inner world, ensuring that no internal turbulence opens doors for spiritual intrusion. May tranquility become your shield throughout the day. I silence emotional storms stirred to destabilize your confidence. I decree that divine authority shields your conversations, preventing manipulative voices from infiltrating your confidence. May your words be guarded by wisdom that exposes hidden motives. I confront harmful influences attempting to enter through casual interaction. I call forth supernatural covering over every task you undertake, ensuring that no assignment becomes an entry point for attack. May the favor of God fortify your responsibilities. I nullify interference seeking to corrupt your productivity. I decree that no monitoring spirit gains access to your movements, blocking observation from entities assigned to track your rising. May your progress be concealed under the shadow of the Almighty. I dismantle surveillance designed to study your patterns. I call forth the scattering of every projection released to destabilize your peace, commanding each one to fall powerless before it reaches your environment. May your atmosphere remain untouched by negative impulses. I revoke declarations spoken against your stability. I decree that your spiritual gates are sealed from all intrusion, allowing only what aligns with divine purpose to influence your heart. May every entry point be fortified by angelic strength. I disable attempts to infiltrate your sensitivity. I call forth the emergence of divine intervention in areas where unseen attacks were already forming, ensuring collapse before execution. May early interruption neutralize what was meant to injure. I obstruct the advancement of every harmful strategy. I decree that your coming in and going out remain wrapped in protective grace, securing each movement under the watch of heavenly forces. May your presence repel danger wherever you travel. I dismantle threats aligned with your roots. I call forth the stabilizing fire of God to destroy internal unrest that attempts to create vulnerability. May your heart remain anchored in unwavering peace. I silence lingering anxiety engineered to weaken your defenses. I decree that your personal environment becomes saturated with divine peace, creating a barrier that hostile forces cannot cross. May heavenly calm rest upon every space you occupy. I interrupt spiritual agitation designed to provoke fear. I call forth supernatural alignment that prevents you from stepping into harmful decisions, redirecting your steps into safe channels prepared by heaven. May your choices be governed by divine prompting. I scatter misleading impulses crafted to ensnare you. I decree the collapse of every spiritual trap set within your daily interactions, rendering them ineffective before you encounter them. May your spirit remain ahead of every scheme. I overthrow relational ambushes intended to wound your heart. I call forth heightened awareness that discerns subtle spiritual threats, granting you the ability to respond with divine precision. May your senses be sharpened by the Spirit. I nullify dullness formed to make you vulnerable. I decree that your peace becomes a fortress that cannot be breached, shielding your heart from sudden fear. May the assurance of God's presence silence every voice of intimidation. I dismantle fear-based signals attempting to corrupt your focus. I call forth divine protection over your possessions, ensuring that nothing connected to your stewardship becomes a point of loss. May everything under your care remain secured by God's covering. I overthrow attempts to target what belongs to you. I decree that your mourning becomes saturated with the voice of divine preservation, guiding your anticipation into alignment with heaven's agenda. May your awareness of God's nearness grow stronger by the hour. I rebuke isolation engineered to weaken your confidence. I call forth angelic reinforcement over every boundary assigned to your life, guarding the perimeters of your influence with unwavering strength. May every intrusion be expelled instantly. I dismantle encroachments formed to push against your stability. I decree that your heart remains unshaken by unexpected news, fortified by the presence of the one who shields you continually. May calmness remain unbroken through every transition. I interrupt emotional disruptions, attempting to pull you off balance. I decree that divine strength surrounds your vulnerabilities, fortifying every area the enemy has studied in an attempt to exploit. May every weakness become reinforced by the presence that shields you continually. I dismantle attempts to capitalize on emotional openings. I call forth supernatural steadiness settling upon your soul, giving you power to remain calm in environments charged with tension. May your heart resist every pull toward fear. I interrupt atmospheres engineered to provoke panic. I decree that the Lord's preservation overshadows your relationships, ensuring that no hidden agenda finds room to develop into harm. May wisdom expose motives before they become threats. I overthrow alliances that disguise destructive intentions. I call forth divine clothedness that wraps your identity in spiritual armor, preventing attacks aimed at your confidence from taking root. May your self-perception remain aligned with heaven's truth. I silence accusations whispering through familiar voices. I decree that your footsteps are guarded by angelic watchers who anticipate danger before your eyes can see it. May their intervention neutralize every threat positioned along your way. I scatter ambushes prepared in secret places. I call forth supernatural preservation over your timing, ensuring that you never arrive in locations where danger is unfolding. May delay or acceleration arise whenever heaven needs to shield you. I dismantle collisions designed to place you at the wrong place and time. I decree that your inner ear becomes tuned to divine warnings, granting you immediate sensitivity to instructions that preserve your safety. May hesitation never delay your obedience. I silence interference, attempting to distort heavenly signals. I call forth the cleansing of your inner atmosphere from traumatic imprints that create vulnerability, replacing them with resilience anchored in divine peace. May every residue of past battles lose its influence. I break cycles of fear formed through memory. I decree divine surveillance over your pathways, ensuring that nothing moves toward you without heaven's awareness. May God's watchful presence give you confidence throughout your day. I terminate unseen movements attempting to approach unnoticed. I call forth supernatural steadiness for your physical body, ensuring that no hidden affliction gains access to weaken you unexpectedly. May your health be covered under divine strength. I dismantle infirmities projected through spiritual attack. I decree that your dwelling place remains surrounded by holy fire, repelling every force attempting to approach with destructive intention. May your home become an impenetrable fortress of peace. I scatter nocturnal agents seeking entry. I call forth divine authority over your possessions, ensuring that nothing connected to your stewardship becomes compromised. May heaven's protection shield every investment tied to your destiny. I break the reach of hands attempting to steal from your increase. I decree that the fearlessness of God takes root in your spirit, enabling you to move through your day with bold composure. May courage saturate you until anxiety no longer finds a place to rest. I silence internal trembling crafted to undermine your confidence. I call forth divine recalibration over your boundaries, ensuring that no individual exceeds the access levels appropriate for your safety. May your discernment detect violations quickly. I dismantle manipulative access disguised as harmless proximity. I decree supernatural protection over your name, preventing slander or evil reports from creating unnecessary battles around your destiny. May your reputation remain guarded under God's covering. I shut down voices aiming to weaponize information against you. I call forth the scattering of spiritual storms launched to destabilize your peace as you move through the day. May every wave of agitation lose its power before reaching your heart. I overturn turbulence orchestrated to disrupt your alignment. I decree divine interruption over accidents forming in the unseen, commanding their collapse before they manifest. May your roots remain covered in holy safety. I cancel premature endings designed to cut short your assignment. I call forth the strengthening of your spiritual vision, granting you the ability to detect invisible dangers woven into everyday moments. May your eyes capture what the enemy hopes you overlook. I dismantle cloaking mechanisms hiding spiritual threats. I decree that the atmosphere surrounding you becomes too charged with God's presence for harm to thrive. May holy fire repel every dark intrusion attempting to approach. I silence disturbances engineered to unsettle your dwelling. I call forth supernatural order over your schedule, preventing unexpected disruptions from creating vulnerability. May your day unfold under divine arrangement. I nullify detours designed to pull you into danger. I decree that your rising is surrounded by angelic vigilance that monitors your movement from morning until rest. May each moment be guarded under heaven's watchful gaze. I confront dark cycles attempting to track your patterns. I decree that divine preservation thickens around your spirit like a shield forged by heaven, ensuring that no unseen assault pierces your peace. May every movement you make be covered by the invisible strength of God's presence. I dismantle coordinated strategies prepared to disrupt your stability. I call forth supernatural reinforcement, strengthening your resolve, granting you courage to confront environments saturated with hidden hostility. May your steps carry the authority that repels darkness. I nullify intimidation projected to weaken your confidence. I decree that every doorway you cross becomes saturated with holy fire, preventing hostile forces from following you into spaces destined for your advancement. May every threshold testify of divine occupation. I silence intruders attempting to infiltrate your progress. I call for the awakening of discernment within your inner man, sharpening your sensitivity to unusual movements in the spirit. May your perception remain alert to divine warnings. I dismantle illusions formed to disguise spiritual traps. I decree that the shadow of the Almighty overshadows your entire day, creating a climate where danger cannot breathe. May the presence of God become your constant refuge. I scatter atmospheres engineered to provoke sudden fear. I call for divine intervention wherever strategies of darkness attempt to interface with your path, commanding immediate disruption before execution. May heaven respond swiftly on your behalf. I paralyze coordinated attacks initialized in hidden territories. I decree that every storm rising against your emotional strength dissolves under the weight of divine calm, granting your heart unwavering steadiness. May peace take full residence within you. I silence the inner shaking stirred by subtle spiritual pressure. I call forth supernatural closure over doors that expose you to unnecessary battles, sealing entrances that once permitted cycles of disturbance. May your pathways be purified of draining engagements. I dismantle prolonged conflicts attempting to reattach themselves. I decree that divine clarity rest upon your choices, preventing confusion from steering you into situations that increase vulnerability. May heaven's wisdom regulate every decision you make. I nullify manipulation disguised as innocent counsel. I call forth the scattering of every dark whisper rising against your confidence, commanding each one to fall lifeless before influencing your spirit. May your awareness remain grounded in God's nearness. I break the authority of lies attempting to corrupt your expectations. I decree that your morning is enveloped in the stillness of God, silencing internal noise that grants access to oppression. May your inner world remain quiet under His covering. I disrupt relentless mental agitation formed to exhaust your strength. I call forth divine safeguarding over your responsibilities, ensuring that the pressure of assignments never becomes an avenue for attack. May your tasks be completed under the canopy of God's order. I scatter interference aimed at sabotaging your productivity. I decree that angelic forces surround your rising with vigilant accuracy, preventing accidents from forming around your movement. May your transportation, your steps, and your timing align perfectly with divine protection. I cancel every plotted collision. I call forth supernatural restoration over areas weakened by persistent warfare, infusing your heart with renewed strength. May your resilience return with greater stability than before. I dissolve residue of old battles. I decree that divine barriers stand between you and every harmful association, preventing poisonous relationships from forming. May your connections be safeguarded by heaven's discernment. I overthrow alliances engineered to plant spiritual toxins. I call forth the purification of your emotional landscape, ensuring that unhealed wounds do not create entry points for attack. May the Spirit secure every vulnerable space. I rebuke lingering sorrow attempting to erode your defenses. I decree that supernatural boldness rises within you, empowering your spirit to resist fear aggressively. May courage overshadow every weak place. I cut off anxiety designed to reintroduce instability. I call forth divine watchfulness over your finances, preventing unwise decisions or hidden sabotage from touching your resources. May your increase remain shielded from loss. I dismantle greedy influences targeting your prosperity. I decree that protection surrounds your voice, preventing your words from being twisted by those seeking to weaponize them. May your speech remain guarded by heaven. I nullify misinterpretations meant to create conflict. I call for the strengthening of boundaries around your destiny, ensuring that no unauthorized person gains access to your inner spaces. May your discernment enforce these borders with unshakable resolve. I scatter spirits seeking to infiltrate your circle. I decree that divine calm governs your transitions, preventing surprises from destabilizing your emotions. May peace accompany you through every shift. I overthrow disruptions crafted to sabotage your routines. I call forth angelic reinforcement around your nights to secure your mornings, ensuring that no nocturnal attack shapes your rising. May rest restore you without interruption. I silence disturbances designed to plant fear during sleep. I decree that the covering of the Almighty surrounds your spirit with a thickness that no arrow of darkness can pierce. May your entire being remain cocooned in the safety that flows from His presence. I dismantle every assault planned to strike at vulnerable moments. I call forth supernatural vigilance in your environment, ensuring that no unseen force gains access to your personal space. May heavenly watchers patrol the boundaries of your day. I silence intrusions that attempt to slip in unnoticed. I decree that divine order governs every interaction you experience today, preventing delays, conflicts, or unexpected confrontations from opening doors to spiritual agitation. May calmness regulate each moment. I overthrow disruptions crafted to entangle your emotions. I call forth an atmosphere hostile to darkness, yet welcoming to divine activity, ensuring that only what aligns with God's intentions gains influence around you. May your surroundings testify of holy authority. I repel every negative vibration projected toward your dwelling. I decree that your intuition is sharpened by the Spirit, granting you insight into situations that require caution, retreat, or silence. May your responses be governed by divine foresight. I dismantle subtle traps designed to lure you through false peace. I call for the collapse of every enchantment, spell, or projection released to weaken your inner strength, commanding each one to lose its potency. May your atmosphere reject every form of spiritual manipulation. I expose hidden sources of oppression. I decree that divine fire guards the edges of your destiny, preventing unassigned individuals from drawing too close with harmful intent. May your life repel every intruder masked as benign presence. I scatter relational threats clothed in charm. I call forth a wall of supernatural restraint, holding back every destructive force, waiting for opportune moments to rise. May their timing be shattered and their efforts dissolved. I nullify cycles that attempt to revive expired battles. I decree that peace becomes an armor around your thoughts, insulating you from overthinking, fear spirals, and mental fatigue. May your mind rest under the ease God provides. I overthrow tormenting patterns sent to erode your confidence. I call forth divine guardianship over your transitions, ensuring that movement from one environment to another remains covered by heaven's oversight. May no unexpected shift disturb your equilibrium. I block interference implanted into schedule changes. I decree that divine protection saturates your conversations, preventing the enemy from using words exchanged with others as gateways to attack your emotions. May your speech remain fortified by wisdom. I dismantle manipulative dialogues set to destabilize your peace. I call forth heavenly shielding over your work and responsibilities, ensuring that no error, oversight, or miscalculated moment becomes an entry point for spiritual harassment. May precision guide your actions. I scatter forces seeking to manufacture trouble. I decree that your presence disarms hostility before it expresses itself, causing hidden antagonists to lose their confidence in your vicinity. May divine authority radiate from you effortlessly. I shut down confrontations intended to provoke you. I call forth angelic intervention in every situation where danger attempts to form suddenly, commanding immediate interception. May heaven's warriors stand ready at all times. I overthrow strategies dependent on surprise. I decree that your sleep cycles, rest patterns, and energy levels become aligned with divine preservation, granting you stamina that cannot be manipulated. May your strength remain consistent throughout the day. I dismantle fatigue projected as spiritual attack. I call forth divine preservation over your documents, communications, decisions, and plans, ensuring that nothing vital suffers loss or alteration. May order reign in every detail connected to your assignment. I nullify tampering formed through deceit. I decree that your spiritual environment becomes too fortified for curses, incantations, or negative declarations to land or function. May every utterance contrary to your peace return void. I shatter words released against your rising. I call forth heavenly alignment that ensures you meet only those who carry peace, honor, and safety, preventing access to individuals who serve as carriers of chaos. May your path remain pure and protected. I dissolve connections intended to derail your growth. I decree that divine intervention protects you from being at the wrong place during the wrong time, ensuring that timing bends itself to preserve your life. May the schedule of heaven override every natural appointment. I break the power of misalignment. I call forth supernatural stillness that overrides tension, granting your heart the capacity to remain calm even when confronted with unexpected challenges. May serenity govern your emotional responses. I nullify panic triggered by sudden shifts. I decree that your rising is wrapped in heavenly stability, preventing the weight of responsibility from becoming an avenue for oppression. May grace meet you at every turn. I silence pressure that seeks to overwhelm your spirit. I decree that the covering of the Almighty settles upon you with finality, sealing every dimension of your day beneath a shield that cannot be breached. May the presence of God surround your rising with strength that silences every opposing current, ensuring that no weapon, no whisper, and no unseen projection gains proximity to your life. I command every atmosphere around you to bow to the authority that governs your protection, granting you freedom to move with unshaken confidence. I call forth the reinforcement of angelic warriors stationed at every gate of your journey, guarding your transitions with precision that anticipates danger before it emerges. May your pathways remain sanctified by their watch, refusing entrance to anything that threatens your peace. I decree that your name is hidden under the shadow of God, unreachable by those who seek to distort your rising. I decree that every force searching for vulnerability finds none, for the hand of God fortifies every opening with strength that cannot be penetrated. May your thoughts remain guarded by divine calm, preventing fear from growing roots or gaining influence. I scatter the remnants of every spiritual attack that once attempted to linger at the edges of your atmosphere. I call forth supernatural preservation over your decisions, ensuring that every choice you make today stands under the counsel of the Spirit. May wisdom escort your steps and silence traps disguised as opportunity. I dismantle the structures of confusion, positioned to push you outside the boundaries of safety. I decree that your dwelling place becomes a refuge marked by the presence of God, impenetrable to every operation of darkness. May peace settle upon every room, corner, and threshold. I dismantle spiritual encroachment that once searched for entry through fatigue, distraction, or emotional pressure. I call forth the wind of divine intervention to sweep through every dimension of your morning, overturning plots assigned to trigger unrest. May every plan coordinated in the unseen collapse before it materializes. I decree that your environment becomes saturated with the assurance that heaven is fully engaged in your preservation. I decree that your identity is wrapped in the authority of God, preventing accusations, misinterpretations, and false narratives from provoking unnecessary battles. May your reputation be secured beneath the covering of truth. I silence voices engineered to disturb your confidence or distort your assignments. I call forth divine stillness to quiet the movements of darkness before they attempt to press against you. May serenity become your atmosphere, drowning out internal and external turbulence. I dismantle emotional storms sent to weaken your posture of strength. I decree that the shield of the Almighty hovers over your physical body, preventing affliction, sudden sickness, or draining symptoms from gaining foothold. May your health remain under the full jurisdiction of God's power. I rebuke every projection designed to weaken your stamina. I call forth supernatural order over your schedule, ensuring that every hour aligns with divine preservation. May delays, detours, and disruptions lose their influence over your movement. I destroy misalignments planted to position you in the path of danger. I decree that every step you take is guarded by divine timing, drawing you away from every location where harm is unfolding. May your rhythm synchronize with heaven so precisely that protection becomes effortless. I scatter traps built around timing and coordination. I call forth the final collapse of every cycle of fear that once attempted to interfere with your mornings. May your heart rise with bold assurance, knowing that the God who shields you neither sleeps nor withdraws. I silence anxiety at its root. I decree that no storm, no shadow, and no whisper of darkness will be able to find you, track you, or influence you, for the light of God surrounds you like impenetrable armor. May your rising be marked by safety that cannot be reversed. I nullify every lingering assignment designed to revisit you later in the day. I call forth supernatural peace to settle on your mind as a crown that cannot be removed. May stability accompany your thoughts, granting you strength to move with clarity and confidence. I scatter internal agitation that attempts to grow when you are alone. I decree that heavenly watchers escort your transitions from morning until night, ensuring that every phase of your day remains guarded. May your footsteps be overshadowed by divine presence that intimidates every adversary. I dismantle long-range spiritual attacks engineered to wait for unguarded moments. I call forth preservation over your loved ones, your work, your plans, and your future, ensuring that nothing connected to your destiny falls outside the reach of divine shielding. May every domain of your life testify that God Himself secures your rising. I destroy attacks aimed at your surroundings to touch you indirectly. I decree that divine protection settles over your spirit like a final seal, confirming that your day moves under the constant watch of God's presence. May every threat lose its power, every projection lose its direction, and every weapon lose its aim. I declare that you walk clothed in safety that cannot be tampered with.